There are a few famous Lostwave posters within the Lostwave community, and one of those is Breneme. They posted a number of songs that have mostly been identified, with only 2 remaining completely unsolved. And one has a unique sound and unique vocals that are somewhat divisive among the Lostwave community. It's time for case file 1436562, Trip to Rio. And in order to really cover this song, I need to talk about original poster Breneme's ability to remember band names for these Lostwave tracks they recorded. They're really quite good at it. Here's a list of a few artists they'd written down and the actual artists the songs were by. Stephen's Cafe wound up to be Stephen Cafe. Stax was Connacht. Q Tango Mouse was Quango Mouse. And The Dead Adair was The Dead Adair. And for this song, they had written the artist down as Bass Bazaar or Space Bazaar. That's the Bazaar spelling. Of course, one of the first questions Kurty would ask is if it could be the other spelling of bizarre. Anyway, we immediately ruled out some leads, like a band called Boys White Teeth that had a song called Trip to Rio. We also discussed whether the vocalist in this song was, well, good. And we'd come back to that point so many times. Heck, we even considered if Trip to Rio could be a novelty song. Breneme posted more about the song on their YouTube channel, which I'll link to in the description below. The other songs on the cassette, as you may see, were a bit all over the place, but may still provide a slight frame of reference. Also potentially of note, the song was recorded either from German radio station FFN or HR3, and was recorded in 1987. Back to the investigation, johnnymetoo discussed whether Brasilia in the song could be the vocalist trying to translate the name of Brazil in Germany, Brazilian. He also brought up a band called Die Gert Last, but that was quickly ruled out. We also discussed the fade out on the recording, and why the DJ would have only played a part of this song, speculating that it may have been part of some unfinished demo, or perhaps a program to briefly feature submissions sent into the station. User Terrified Toad found a band called Paradise Bazaar, along with other obscure German bands, but left it at that. We also tried to see if the line from the song saying 10,000 miles away would be helpful, even coming up with a list of countries at least 10,000 miles away from Brazil, though many believed it was simply an artistic choice. Speaking of artistic choice, I'm going to make one and briefly ask you to like and subscribe. Okay, let's move on. Server staff Bluey G Wulfsy posted about a song with a similar sound in order to provide a potential time frame for Trip to Rio, with mid-80s being the best bet. We also discussed a hoax lead, a band called Young Shields. The hoaxer went to some effort to make it seem legit, but at the end it was clearly a hoax. And again, the band I mentioned earlier, Paradise Bazaar, was brought up, and it was confirmed that they still hadn't been ruled out. User Murphy was able to figure out the drum machine used in the song, which would further narrow down the release date for the song to 1986 or 1987. Murphy also found a band called Soul Bazaar that seemed like they'd fit the bill for this song. Right country, right years, questionable vocalist ability. But then a week later, heard back from a member of Soul Bazaar, and they were officially ruled out. Saber, who I interviewed, link to that in the description below, found a show listing from Radio FFN in 1987. While this didn't lead to much, it did lead to a potential idea of the DJ who played this song, Marcus Hurdle of HR3. And a few weeks after contacting him through a third party, we finally heard back from him, and he sadly didn't recognize the song, but was very friendly and even mentioned a few bands that were similar in one way or another. And oddly enough, the same intermediary suggested that we could find Trip to Rio in an adult film, as we had with Everyone Knows That. Alright then. And that's about where things stand. It's not clear what or where our next lead will come from, but hang on. Let's rewind a bit. was an A. And it was confirmed that they still hadn't been ruled out. Paradise Bazaar has never been ruled out. Interesting, but where did that lead come from? It was a wiki, clearly, but I found myself asking what it was a wiki for. Well, it turns out it's a wiki for the Senate's Rockwettbewerb, or the Senate Rock Competition, an event held for about a decade in Berlin from 1979 to 1991 to give, and I'm quoting from the Google English translation of that wiki, quote, almost unknown talents the opportunity to present their skills to a wider public. And what's this also on the Translate wiki? The participating groups had to submit a demo cassette. So this could actually be a lead. And to make things even more interesting, the contest seems to have been incredibly well documented by a member of the Berlin Senate. And a large portion of the demo tapes are now sitting in the Berlin Archive of Youth Culture. And so, I've contacted that Berlin senator and the Archive of Youth Culture, and, because why not, the current admin of that wiki where this all came from. Whether it will lead to anything, I don't know. Of course, I'll keep you updated. You did subscribe when I asked you to, right? But until then, I suppose we can go back to asking if the Vocalist is any good. Until next time, I'm PersonOfDistraction, and I'm now listening to...
Brasilia, 10,000 miles away.